Oh, welcome to the worm. We got something really fun to do today. As always, no idea if it'll work. You guys saw previously, I don't know, a few videos back, finally got to use this thing that I've had forever. It just seemed like a great thing to own. We clamped it onto the back of the four-wheeler and used it to pull logs onto the trailer. It worked really well. This thing's made by Super Winch, and it is a winch in a box. It's kind of cool. Has the remote, corded remote, not cordless. I don't think it cost a lot more than $100. Might have been $100. I don't know. Maybe it was $150. Who knows? It works so well pulling logs that I think we came up with this in the video. I came up with this in the video. No, you're always part of this. We could use this to lift logs onto the sawhorses over there when we do the chainsaw milling. I bought just a couple things. As always, this isn't thought through very well, but I got a huge like barn door hinge. I'm thinking we could do a pull off of the tree with that. For the last bunch of years, you have seen how many hundreds of logs I've had to lift onto this thing. Some of them aren't bad at all, like that dry spruce log there, but some of them can get a little ridiculous. You know, like that huge old cedar log sitting there. I don't know what size that end is, but it's too much for me to lift. And I made this, or had this made, had a guy weld this together for me. You've seen this a whole bunch of times too, and it does work quite well. It's like a 7 out of 10. It has a few issues. If I just went and redid this thing, I don't think I'd have a need for the big log lifter. But this spike that you stick into the log, it really needs to go up considerably higher. Even though the sawhorse is only here, you're only picking up one end of the log at a time, so sometimes it needs to be, I don't know, up face level or above. But this is still manual power. As my wise old dad once said, or said a bunch of times, always use power tools when you can. That lifter really is actually terrific when you're milling on the ground, like when I have logs that are too big to pull with the four-wheeler. When you just lift a log up like a foot and put a round underneath it or something, so when you're kneeling, you're not bent all the way over. That thing's perfect. It'll still get used regularly. But for the draggable logs, if this works, I think it's going to be really cool. This is the only thing I saw at the hardware store that was beefy at all. I don't know. I think it's going to be beefy enough. It's not exactly what I had in mind. So we're going to go to that tree, go up who knows how high, and then bring a pole straight out. We'll put a bunch of pulleys on it, but that pole does need obviously to hinge because you want to be able to lift the log up here and then swivel it over there and set it down. So I'm thinking this is the pivot. You could even do something like a couple of eyelets or something, an eyelet in the tree, an eyelet in the pole, but you're gonna have all that pressure going in this way. So I think the eyelets would just get bound up. I'm gonna replace the winch cable that's on that portable winch with synthetic. I think I have a brand new 50-foot chunk of synthetic line in the lean-to. That means we got 50 feet extra of braided steel, so I'm thinking this comes out, and then we put an eyelet in there, and we go up to the tree, and that'll help support the weight. I guess the other way you could do it is put something down here to hold it up, like another smaller pole, but then you still have the issue of trying to get that to pivot, and both of them to pivot on the same plane. Now listen, I don't want you to get the idea that I've thought this through at all. Everything I've said to you, actually, 50% of what I said to you I thought of earlier today, and the other 50% I just made up as we're going. There's going to be so much strain on a long lever like that I'm not going to be surprised at all if something gives. The good thing is we're only lifting the logs up to like 4 or 5 feet, and it's never going to be overhead, so I don't think I'll die. If I do, that's on me. Don't worry about it so much. Where's that dog of mine anyway? Oh, sleeping under the picnic table. You've watched him for the weeks and months as he's growing up. He is always filthy. Yesterday he was extra filthy just from rooting around underneath the picnic table. But that's the normal kind of dirt, you know, most of it brushes off. Yesterday when I finished up what I was working on, I grabbed that battery-powered Ryobi weed eater and did another one of the trails, and he just comes with me. He runs back and forth and around. But we had that big rain a few days ago, so the trails, the ruts in the trails were so freaking muddy. And of course, he doesn't run in the middle where there's grass. He runs right through the ruts and occasionally stops, lays down in it. Dude was filthy, so filthy. He hasn't had a bath in like a month or more, so I had to take him in the shower. He was not very happy about that. We got him all cleaned up, dried off last night. It was nice. Like this morning, he was so fluffy and soft. And I really didn't want to let him out this morning, but he's back. Not even too dirty yet. You can see the top side's still clean and fluffy. But he's a wilderness dog. I guess that's just the shape of him. So the reason I'm kind of getting into this project today is I'm ready to get started on the dog house. We've got a fair amount of milling to do and a fair amount of large logs that need to be milled up. And my back has just been garbage for like a couple months now. Weird as it sounds, lifting doesn't hurt it, but I don't know. I just want to be careful. It would be a real story if it completely blew up, like lifting a, like 300-400 pound log and my back just broke in half. I'd only have Kuiper to take care of me, and that would be cute. Not productive though, not productive. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this tree does have a pretty good curve in it this way and also this direction. So I think this is something we got to think about. If you do it in a part of the tree that's leaned this way, you put this arm out here. When you swing it back and forth, it's going to tend to want to be straight out, which is going to be hard when you're lifting a log and you can't get it to stay in place. If you put it on a part of the tree that's this way, the thing's going to have a tendency to want to flop to the sides. That's not good either. And then if you look at it from the end of the arm, if it's in a part of the tree that's like this, obviously it's going to flip that way. This way is going to want to flip that way. Kind of like it to be pretty neutral, I think. I mean, we definitely don't want it going one side or the other. And really, this thing only needs to be high enough that you don't thwank. I'm not sure what the word is. You don't thwank your head on it. So, maybe 6 or 7 feet. It'd actually be really nice if it was where I could reach the eyelets. Because here's the other thing. If you can't reach the arm, then you're going to have to leave a cable or something strung up all the time. The winch can't sit out here all the time. If you're just going to use the cable, the synthetic cable that's on the winch, you'd have to, every time you brought it out here and hooked it up, you'd have to restring it every time. I don't want to have to carry a ladder out for that. This is getting more complicated the longer I think about it. Let's not think about it. Let's go ahead and find a pole. Let's make it maybe a foot or two longer than we think we need to. So it's got to go to there. That's exactly 8 feet. Let's just grab a 10-footer. The other thing that's going to make this project and use of this thing kind of fun is the winch still needs power. You got to have a battery or something. So I guess you pull the four-wheeler up, pop the seat off, put the jumpers on the battery of that. And if you're going to do that anyway, then why not just use the winch on the front of the four-wheeler? You could. The only problem is there's no remote for it. So you'd have to hook up the log, go on the four-wheeler, push the button, lift it up, and just hope the thing didn't move around too much. Might be a possibility. 10.5, perfect. Like this, I should probably use the four-wheeler to move this. Oh, maybe I will. That's heavier than I thought. Okay, let's do it. Always use power tools when you can. Got a bend in it. What do you think? Crown up? So I have to crown up because the two pulleys, you don't want the line to rub on the log, right? Crown it about like that. You could almost put this through the middle and pin all the way through it. Yeah, I don't know how you'd find those from the outside. I guess we'll just shave a spot off. So it's got to be able to swing this way, but not that way. So it'd have to go on this side, right? You flipped it over. Yeah, same thing. Cut it off that side. Jeez, that thing's dull. Just trying to make sure that this is right in line with that whole thing. Actually side to side wouldn't be too bad. You just don't want it rolled, I guess. I don't know anything. Yeah, that was dull. Just flatten it up a little bit. I don't know why, but for some reason, I'm not going to be surprised if I have to make a new log for this. Good thing is, if you're having fun, it doesn't matter if you screw up and have to start over. What are you afraid of? More fun? Oh no, not more fun! Using chainsaws and power tools out in the woods with your dog could be worse. This is going to be incredibly tacky. I'm almost embarrassed to do this. I hate using lag screws like this or any kind of screws that are too long and they poke out the other side. It's all I could find that all matched and fits through these holes. We're probably gonna have to take all these out just to get this thing up there, but I'm gonna put it together now anyway. Gotta love a good driver like that, huh? A lot better than putting them in by hand. That is going to be pretty strong. I mean, there's just, again, so much torque that it's possible you wreck it if you don't get that support wire just right. I wonder what would give. I guess these would probably rip out of the tree before these gave out. Well, we're going to find out. It'd be kind of cool to have a Ryobi chainsaw, wouldn't it? I'm sure it wouldn't do much for actual chainsawing, but for trimming limbs like this, it'd be fun. I mean, this works fine, so don't just, it's fine. I guess we'll start by just seeing where a plumb section of the tree is. Oh, pretty much right there. And how high up? Wow, that's not bad. That's maybe 8+ feet. So what do we do now? How do we get this up there? We're gonna have to somehow put the cable up there first. How far out should we go? 5 feet or so? So we should go 5 feet above that. Should we think about forces for a minute? You got your arm like this, your tree is here. Is it best to have this at a 45? Or do you want it more like this? Or do you want it more like this cable? What I like to do to figure this kind of thing out, since I have no idea what the answer is try to push this to an extreme. So let's imagine what happens if we put this cable way down, almost horizontal. Then it wouldn't do much to support this arm, and the pressure on this eyelet would be incredible trying to rip it out. If you went all the way up, so it's almost coming down vertically, there wouldn't be a problem, I don't think. I think we want to get it up as high as possible, because then that cable is basically supporting all the weight instead of the hinge in any of the arm. And the force on that eyelet up there would be almost straight down instead of trying to rip it out of the tree. Oh, the only issue we're going to have is that tree's not straight. So if the tree was bent way to the side, the arm's coming out this way, and you put it way up in the tree, then it's going to make the arm want to swing sideways. You know what I'm saying? Do you feel that? Oh yeah, it bends quite a bit off that way. So maybe we put the hinge on this side of the tree as much as we can, and then we'll go up a ways and put the eyelet on this side of the tree to try to keep them in line. If I just go towards the top of the ladder and get it up as high as possible, that's about all we can do. All right, drill the eyelet in then. What eyelet? Do I have any eyelets? Nothing good there. Oh, there's some pulleys we could use. Those are 4,000-pound pulleys, and they're quite cheap from Harbor Freight, I think. Oh, and there's another one. Oh, look at all these nice little tiny pulleys we have left. We'll have to make some more analog remote control stuff in the cabin. If I had an actual light switch, I did that when I was a little kid. I think it was when I was putting up those cowhide shades in the cabin that I remembered, you know, running those little strings up and around through all those pulleys. I remembered that I used to do that exact same thing. I'd take a regular old cotton string and keychains, just the ring, and tape the ring to the wall so it sticks out. I'm glad my parents let me do that. Probably putting all that duct tape on the paint and then peeling it off years later wasn't great for the finish. But see, idiot stuff you do as a kid, sometimes it translates. Too small, too skinny. There's a nice fat one, but it's not very long. One more place to check. Oh, here's a good one. $1 from the second-hand store. That's not a great deal, but you know, you get that. Ooh, let's use that instead. That's a beast. It was worth $1 just to have it on hand. Something like that. It'd be great if I can do this without sticking my head to one of those balloons. Probably should have checked my stock before I pulled that all the way out. Yep, that's a lot thicker. I think the synthetic winch line is too fat for this winch. I'd have to cut it. And it's got a nice sheath on it, really nice eye, and a nice backer. Kind of hate to chalk this up. I'm not too sure what this was for. Pretty much the same thing, although even thicker. Oh, you know what? I think we used this on the gazebo. Remember to support the middle of it? Could either put a log across, but it'd kind of be in the way, or I just use this to attach the two sides and like tension it. I mean, it's not going to fit on a winch or anything, it's too fat, so I guess we'll cut this up, which means we got to wind those 50 feet back in there. Not we, I'll do it. I'll do it. The reason I was going to put synthetic line on here is that if your pulleys or snatch blocks have too tight a radius, it won't work with this. Like, you don't want to have to pull it through something that tight, or even tighter. In the synthetic stuff, you can bend around any radius. Are you interested in what we're doing over here? Sawdust mouth. Oh, dusty face. Dusty lips. Is this a mistake? Probably. Whoa, careful. You know what? We should probably double these, shouldn't we? Since we got something big and heavy that can fall. Wow, that's slightly loud. Usually when you say that, then you take a minute to put your earmuffs on. Some people don't. Okay, earmuffs. Now, how am I gonna get the log up here? That's what I want to know. I got the other ladder out and I moved that eyelet up another maybe 4 feet or so. We got the cable clipped on, so let's see. Well, I guess we got to put an eyelet in here, stand it up on the end, clip this on, and then use that in order to twerk the thing up there. All right, let's think forces again. You could bring the cable down at the steepest angle if you put it further back here. Then you're multiplying the force that goes up the cable because you've got a lever on it. So let's see, it's almost a 45, right? So if we got two sides that are 8 feet, what's the formula? It's a 90 degree, two sides that are the same. Is it times the square, this times the square root of 2? Sounds about right. 11.3. So let's put another loop, temporary loop at 11, little over 11 feet. We just got to get it close enough that I can get one screw in the hinge, and then we can kind of work it around. That's 11 feet right there. Well, we didn't get that far into it. I forgot. This big barrel adjuster too. We'll have to take a foot out of that and add this in. Wow, this is gonna be awesome. Ah. Probably just gonna have to watch over time, keep an eye on that hinge. Oh yeah, it feels like we're at the bottom of the hinge. Should probably tighten it up a little bit more so we don't have any weight tweaking that thing. It'll last longer. That's pretty good. All right, so we need an eyelet here for a pulley. And the cable comes back to the tree-ish. Now the question is, do we put an eyelet here or do we put an eyelet here? I guess let's go to the tree because any of the force on this might as well go into the tree instead of going into here. Is that a 45? Oh, it doesn't fit. Yeah, it'll stay. Clips onto that one. Well, I guess we don't have to keep a wire or rope strung in there because you can reach these. I took the I didn't have extra pins like this, but in order to string a winch cable through here, you got to be able to take it apart. Is that what makes a snatch block instead of a pulley? I think it might be the ability to put it on the middle of a rope. But I found these two pins on my plow so you can pull it out without getting out tools. You can actually put 2 or 3 of these right on the winch cable and then put it up there without having to hold the winch cable above your head. Let's put one more of these just temporarily in the tree and then try this with the four-wheeler, see if we can lift a log. That one fits too. Weird. All right, up to this point, it's all just guesswork. I love this part of it. Seeing if my stupid creations actually work. Here's what I'm thinking. You pull a whole bunch out. You clip these suckers on. I don't know what these things are called, but I prefer them to whatever these things are called with the pin and the pin. It's just easier to not lose these, although I couldn't really find the right size for these. It doesn't matter that it sticks out a little bit, I don't think. So we're just gonna thread all these on here. One goes on there. That doesn't fit. May have to trim that gate down a little bit. Next one goes on there, and one on there. Right? I think the winch will have enough power. There'll be a fair amount of loss through the drag and the 3 pulleys or snatch blocks. It's probably like a 2,000 or 2,500 pound winch. Heaviest log we'll pick up is maybe, say, 400 pounds maybe. I wonder if there's going to be enough traction on the four-wheeler that it's not going to slide, because that winch will definitely drag the four-wheeler along. I can already see a problem. Once we get this on here, even if this does lift it up, unless this was all perfectly set up and you could swing the arm and it would stay right there over the sawhorses, you're gonna have to hold the log in place or guide it while you're pushing the button on the four-wheeler. It's kind of too bad because that's a really nice winch on there. Otherwise, I might have to switch it out for one with the wireless remote. Well, let's just see if it picks it up. That was way too easy, and it was super easy to swing it around. We might just have to use it with the four-wheeler for now instead of trying to. The portable winch would have to be, I was going to make some kind of wooden bracket that would go on the bottom of that tree. And actually, I mean, it wouldn't be very hard to make, but you're still going to have to pull the four-wheeler up here anyway in order to use the battery. So maybe for the time being, it's just easier to use the four-wheeler winch. And you know what I just thought of? All you need to do is find the balance point of a log, go slightly to one side, like slightly to this side, so that side of the log drops down first. So you pick the log up, you swing it over, you put the butt on there just like we just did, and you park the four-wheeler much closer to the tree, and then you can be right here. With one hand you can set the log on this side of the sawhorse, the other hand you can drop it down. I think this is gonna work. Oh man, now I kind of want to lift a heavy log on there. It'd be easy enough to just pick this up and set it on the ground, but we don't need to anymore. You know what we could do too? We could put the Timber Tough log tongs on there, then you wouldn't have to wrap the winch line around. Well, let's see, if we're doing the doghouse next, we're gonna need framing. We can do spruce, pine, or fir. Got a couple logs there that would be okay. The rest of these big cedars I've been saving for my countertops in the kitchen. I got an idea. I got these really garbagey pine logs. They all have rotten centers, but I think there's enough lumber in them. Oh yeah. Even like this one. You can see if you mill this thing up, you'll still get 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s there. You get a bunch of 2x4s out of that. And they're just sitting here. Oh, these are the ones with the huge woodpecker holes in them too. Look at those suckers. Wow. Well, the doghouse, luckily, is one of the few building projects where we don't need super long studs or floor framing or anything. Like, I don't think anything will be more than 6 feet, so let's drag those over. The good thing is they're really heavy too, so we'll see if this will pick it up. Oh yeah, here's the downside of using the four-wheeler winch. Now I need the four-wheeler to drag the log over here, so I have to unhook all this stuff. So I guess normally when you're going to use this, you would drag all the logs over here, set the four-wheeler there, winch everything up and mill it. We'll figure it out. We'll just drag the logs with a tow strap on the back. Then we can just hang all this on the front of the four-wheeler for right now. Holy cow. Oh. What are you doing, fruitcake? What? 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 And onto the bed. Let's try the Timber Tough log tongs, see if it works. be kind of cool. Moving the four-wheeler. I think we can tighten these up a few twists. So the parking brake only goes to the rear brakes. I guess I never really thought about that. Makes sense, kind of like a car. Although I think some cars, does it only lock up one wheel? This only has one brake for the whole rear axle. That just does the whole thing. Now if it's running, would it make any difference to put it in gear or put it in reverse? I feel like it wouldn't because the clutches aren't engaged, right? You could have a rope going back to a tree that you could just throw over the ball. That would hold it in place. Or you could block the tires, or do away with that and have the winch cable go almost straight up. There is a roller on here. Maybe that would work. Then all it could do is lift the four-wheeler. Well, let's see if tightening the parking brake made any difference. That is I wonder how much that log weighs. That sucker is a monster, but we've definitely milled up bigger ones than that. Like that same log. Add 4, 5, 6 inches in diameter and then add several feet on. No, we haven't, because we don't lift those up. We just mill them wherever the tree fell. Okay, stop talking, stop thinking. Let's see if it works. Unbelievable. Kind of makes my back hurt just thinking about lifting this thing, but I guess I don't have to lift them anymore. That was somewhere right between a moderate and a major success. I know I've been talking about this doghouse for a very long time. Biting flies. I think next week, come back next Saturday, I think we're gonna break ground. The only reason I can say that is I already bought the bags of concrete for the foots. I don't know where the foots are going or how they're going, but we've got it. I think the hole is getting cut right between that window and the exhaust there. Oh yeah, you can see 2 studs. One there. Wait, that's 3. 1, 2, no, 3. That's 3 studs. So I think the doorway is going to go up to that stud, up to that, and then we'll knock this one out and put some kind of header in there. I had this fun little weird idea. I don't know if we'll be able to do it. I was thinking about setting this thing on one footing. You know, like, actually I don't know what it's like. I was going to say tree house or something. Like, just goes up, and then you've got the doghouse sitting on top of it. Probably a lot of the construction or how this is going to be laid out is going to be based on what's underneath this huge lump of soil here. You can see some pretty huge roots, some rocks, you know, stringworm, the usual. Probably put in either 1 foot under the middle of this whole thing just to make it look really weird, or maybe 2 feet on the outside edge. And then we'll do the platform, like the floor, we'll frame all that in. I think it's going to attach there. Might have to rip that bottom piece of siding off. I can't remember how we put that together. And then we just have to figure out how high it's going to go, how you're going to get into it from the outside. I kind of have this idea of having the entire side of the doghouse hinge open. I just don't know how we'd seal the edges very well, especially because everything's going to be made with green lumber, so you kind of make it like, you know, weather waterproof with some gasketing or whatever, and then everything shrinks and it doesn't fit together anymore. But we either have this outside hinge open, or I guess it could go that way. There'll have to be a ramp going down. Oh, hey buddy, you gonna help us figure this? Oh hi. Oh hi. When it's cold out, everything can be closed up on the outside, and then somehow we're gonna figure out how to pipe heat into it. I mean, it'll be open to the inside, so maybe just the ambient heat from in there will be enough. Something tells me by the time this winter comes, this dude's never gonna get cold. They are built for cold weather, and he's actually starting to get his his old dog fur, which I don't really like. His puppy fur is so soft. and you go about a third of the way down his back, you can see this wavy stuff is much wirier. That's okay. If you have to get grown up fur to keep you warm out here, I guess we'll deal with it. Thanks for watching. Come back next Saturday if you want. Maybe we'll cut a hole, maybe we'll dig a hole. I don't know what we'll do. Ooh, maybe we'll even jack some logs up there without burning any calories. Do some milling. We'll probably actually have to do milling. See you next week.